Hello YouTube, this is Victor. I'm a flight attendant and every week I post videos about how to travel in better conditions. This week I'm talking about flying with your pet, jet your pet. If you're new to this channel, well, welcome. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and if you click on the small bell, you'll be notified every week when there's a new video. And if you're already a member, a subscriber, well, thanks a lot for your loyalty, and let's talk about flying with your pet. Before I start sharing some tips, there's something I would like to mention. You really have to consider if you really need to travel with your pet. In some areas of the planet, it's not very popular, especially if you think about Australia, New Zealand. Those countries have very high quarantine restrictions and only CN dog or service dogs are allowed to fly in. But sometimes keep in mind it's quite a stressful experience for your animal. They're in an environment that they're not used to. They are surrounded by strangers who can also have allergies if your pet is flying in a cabin, or they won't see you for quite a few hours. So that's quite a stressful experience. So sometimes it's not really worth it to take your dog or cat to Cancun just for a week vacation or anywhere. They might be better in a home with friends, family coming and visiting them, or staying at the neighbors or at your grandmother for a few days. It's a normal environment. They won't have all the travel time, and then they'll feel much better. And then on the other hand, you can Skype them, FaceTime them, you can see them and make sure there's someone looking after them, and will be peace of mind for you. And take a photo with you so you can see a photo of your cat at any time. So tip number one, book as early as possible. There's always a limited number of animals allowed on a plane. The earlier you book, the better chances you'll have to be able to fly with your animal. Some animal will have to travel in a hole, some will travel in a cabin. Keep in mind, the space, if they're in a cabin, could be quite narrow. Usually there's a seat in front of you. That means it's a small space for them and it's a small space for your leg too. So you keep in mind you have to share the space with your dog or cat. Second, fly direct as much as you can, because having a connecting flight is not easy for any animal, and there's more chances that it might be lost, like your luggage. So it's always easier if you can get a direct flight. Now, sometimes you will fly non-direct routes because the direct flight just doesn't exist. Keep in mind in that case to check the airline's website, because you might fly on a codeshare flight. Let's say you're flying from Paris to Montreal to Ottawa. The Paris to Montreal could be on Air France, so you'll see Air France restrictions, but the Montreal to Ottawa might be on Air Canada on a small plane, and they might not allow animals on the small plane. So always be very, very careful when you book to make sure that all the airlines say you'll be inside, and not the airline that sold you the tickets, they accept animals and you have all the restrictions. Sometimes an airline will accept animals only on certain big wide bodies aircraft and not on small ones. Visit your vet about 10 days before departure. The vet will check if your animal is in good shape, if everything is fine, and can issue a certificate for the airline that the animal, not the vet, is in good condition for travel. The airline like to have this kind of certificate to make sure everything is fine. Buy a carrier. You need a carrier. There's all sizes, a small for small cats and small dogs, and there's huge one for the massive dogs. So make sure you have one that will fit your animal and have enough space for them. Buy it early. You can buy them sometime at the airport, but it could be more expensive. Usually you can find secondhand easily on eBay and a lot of websites. Also, it's good for your dog to do a test run and be with it within the cage for a few days, not locked inside, but they start to see part of like their home shelter, the small mini place to go and hide. So put a blanket, put a few toys, so they get used to it, the smell starts to be in it, and it will be less stressful than going into this new cage on the day of departure, put in a car and put on a plane, and what's happening to me. Get your dog an ID. Ideally, the microchip is the best one, because in case your dog or cat is lost in transfer or by the airline, they want to see very quickly who it is, so that's the best way. Keep in mind you can also put just a collar with your contact, and another good idea is to have on the top of the cage inside all your contact information and laminate this so it won't get wet or damaged. You want to know who your dog or cat is in case there's a delay and you have to go to baggage service to track where your animal is. It's always good also to have a recent picture of your animal with you, so that will really help the luggage agent. Eat, drink, and go poop. 4 hours before departure is a recommended time by many vets for the last dinner. And then when you get to the airport, you go for a long walk outside of the terminal before you go and check in, and then give a big hug to your dog. But 4 hours is fine. Now you want to keep a little bit of spare food inside the cage, but protect it so the animal cannot use it and play with it during the flight, just in case there's a misconnection and the dog or cat has to be fed by the airline employees. They don't have food, so usually a good idea is to have the food inside a really sealed Ziploc bag. All that within a Tupperware, which is taped on the top of the cage. Don't take too much space, but that means the animal won't be able to play with it and try to open it during the flight. And then in case there's a delay, at least the airline has got something to give them. Arrive early at the airport. That's for passengers, but also for animals. Usually airlines, we like it 2 to 3 hours per departure. Too early is not very good, because then your animal will, the journey will be longer for them. So that's longer before they can go to toilets and everything. So 2 to 3 hours is fine, because remember, the airline will have to go through a special check-in process. It's not like a random bag. They will need to check the health certificates and everything. Do not give your animal any sleeping pills. It might work for you, it's not good for your animal. So if you have any question around that, check with your vet, but it's never a good idea to give a sleeping pill to your animal. And finally, when you get to your destination, just drop your bags at the hotel or the family or Airbnb or wherever you're staying, and then go for a long walk with your dog. That will get them to smell the local scents, and they feel a little bit more comfortable. Also, go with bottled water rather than tap water. At home, they may be fine with tap water, but if you're in a different city, the water might be different. You don't want to upset their stomach, so go with bottled water for a few days, and after you can start to mix it slowly if you're going to be there for a while. Otherwise, if it's short term, just stick with bottled water. And yeah, so again, as I said at the beginning, really consider if it's going to be a good experience for your animal, if it's really worth it, if you really need them for so long. If it's a service dog, usually they're trained to travel, but it's not a service dog. It's not always a good idea. Also, some airlines might start to put some restrictions. Delta is starting something in March, just because some dogs have been biting other passengers and pee on the carpet. So it's not, keep in mind you're in a very confined space with a lot of other people. It's not your private flight. So you might want to consider all those factors before you actually book. But if you do so, have a safe flight, and I'll see you next week for a new video. Bye!